She didn't ask where you were. You came home 3 hours late. She was watching TV, said hi, didn't look up. You went out without saying where. Came back midnight. She was already asleep. You didn't text all day. She didn't notice. No questions, no checking, no caring where you are. And this should feel like freedom, should feel like trust, should feel like she's finally giving you space. But it doesn't feel right. She used to ask where you were going, used to want to know when you'd be back, used to check if you were okay when you didn't text. Now nothing. You leave, she says bye, doesn't ask where. You come home, she says hi, doesn't ask how it was. You're gone all day. She doesn't notice you were gone. No questions, no interest, no tracking. You tell yourself this is good. Tell yourself this is mature relationship. Tell yourself this means she trusts you. But something feels wrong. She's not asking because she doesn't care. Not checking because you don't matter. Not tracking because your presence or absence doesn't affect her. You went to bar with friends. Came home at 2 a.m. She was asleep. Woke up next morning. She asked if you want coffee. Didn't ask where you were. Didn't ask why you came home late. Didn't ask anything. Just asked if you want coffee. Before, she would have been upset, would have wanted explanation, would have asked questions, would have needed to know. Now she offers coffee like you came home at normal time, like nothing happened, like your absence didn't register. You didn't come home one night, stayed at friend's place. Came home next afternoon, she was doing laundry, said, "Oh, you're back," continued folding clothes. No questions about where you were, who you were with, why you didn't come home, why you didn't call. Just, "Oh, you're back," continued folding. Your location is off on your phone, has been off for weeks. She hasn't mentioned it, hasn't asked you to turn it on, hasn't noticed, or doesn't care. Before she would check it, would ask why it's off, would want to know where you are. Now it's off and she doesn't mention it. You go somewhere, don't tell her where, she doesn't ask. You're late, don't tell her why, she doesn't care. You disappear for hours, don't explain, she doesn't require explanation. And every time this happens, you feel relieved and wrong simultaneously, feel freedom and abandonment at the same time, feel trusted and forgotten together. Because this isn't trust, this is indifference, isn't freedom, this is irrelevance, isn't maturity, this is detachment. When woman asks where you are, it's because she's invested in your whereabouts. When she checks on you, it's because your safety matters. When she wants to know, it's because you're important to her day. When she stops asking, it's because investment withdrew. When she stops checking, it's because your safety stopped mattering. When she stops wanting to know, it's because you became irrelevant to her day. She didn't ask where you were, because where you are doesn't matter to her anymore. Your presence or absence doesn't affect her anymore. Your existence or non-existence doesn't register anymore. Not because she trusts you more, because she cares about you less. Trust means she believes in you. Indifference means she's done with you. Trust is positive feeling. Indifference is absence of feeling. She doesn't have positive feeling. She has absence of feeling. No feeling about where you are. No feeling about what you're doing. No feeling about when you'll be back. Just absence. Just nothing. Just blank. You're blank in her emotional landscape, irrelevant in her mental space, absent from her caring capacity. And blank doesn't ask questions. Irrelevant doesn't need updates. Absent doesn't require information. You could be anywhere. She doesn't ask. You could be doing anything. She doesn't care. You could be with anyone. She doesn't wonder. Complete freedom, complete irrelevance, complete not mattering. She didn't ask where you were. And not asking was the signal, the evidence, the proof. Signal you missed, evidence you misread, proof you interpreted backwards. You thought it meant trust. It meant she's done. You thought it meant freedom. It meant you're irrelevant. You thought it meant mature relationship. It meant relationship is over. Over emotionally. Over in terms of her investment. over in her caring, still continuing externally, still existing officially, still happening physically, but over in every way that matters. Because relationship where partner doesn't care where you are isn't relationship. Is cohabitation, is routine, is going through motions. Relationship requires caring about whereabouts, needs investment in presence, demands interest in location. When these disappear, relationship disappears, only shell remains, only routine continues, only motions persist. She didn't ask where you were. That was her showing she's not in relationship anymore, demonstrating she's not invested anymore, proving she's not there anymore, not there emotionally, not there psychologically, not there in terms of caring, still there physically, still there externally, still there in space. But person who cares is gone. Person who's invested departed. Person who asks questions left. You're living with someone who's physically present, but emotionally absent, externally there, but internally gone. Spatially close, but psychologically distant. And distance isn't measured in space, is measured in caring, isn't calculated in location, is calculated in investment, isn't determined by proximity, is determined by engagement. She's distant because she doesn't care, gone because she's not invested, absent because she's not engaged. Not asking where you are is symptom of distance, of being gone, of absence. Symptom you're seeing now, because happened earlier. Symptom you're experiencing currently. Origin occurred before. Origin was when she stopped caring, when investment withdrew, when engagement ended. That happened weeks ago, months ago, specific moment ago, moment when something made her stop caring, event when investment died, time when engagement ceased. Maybe you weren't there when she needed you. Maybe you chose something else over her too many times. Maybe nothing specific, just accumulation that reached threshold. But there was moment, was event, was time. Time when she decided you're not worth the energy. Moment when she concluded your whereabouts don't matter. Event when she determined she's done tracking. And decision was made. Conclusion was reached. Determination was final. After that decision, after that conclusion, after that determination, she stopped asking where you are, stopped caring when you'll be back, stopped needing to know what you're doing. Because asking requires caring. Caring requires investment. Investment requires engagement. And engagement ended at decision. Investment died at conclusion. Caring stopped at determination. She didn't ask where you were, because asking is for people who care. Checking is for people who are invested. Wanting to know is for people who are engaged. And she's not caring, not invested, not engaged. She's done, she's detached, she's gone. Gone while still there. Detached while still present. Done while still around. You come home, she's there. But person who would ask where you were is gone. You leave, she's there. But person who would want to know where you're going is gone. You're gone all day, she's there. But person who would notice your absence is gone. Physical presence without emotional presence. Spatial proximity without psychological closeness. Actual being there without invested being there. She's there, but not there. Present but absent. Existing but not engaged. And not engaged person doesn't ask questions, doesn't require updates, doesn't need information, because questions require caring about answer. Updates require investment in knowing. Information requires engagement with person's life. No caring means no questions. No investment means no updates needed. No engagement means no information required. She didn't ask where you were. Simple behavior, profound meaning. Simple means easy to miss. Profound means everything changes. Easy to interpret as positive. Everything changes to negative. You interpret it as trust, as freedom, as maturity. Reality is indifference, is irrelevance, is your being done. She didn't ask where you were yesterday. Doesn't ask where you are today. Won't ask where you were. Tomorrow pattern, established behavior, consistent, new normal, created. New normal, where she doesn't ask, doesn't check, doesn't care. Where your location is your business, your schedule is your concern, your whereabouts are your information. Not because she respects your privacy, because you're not relevant to her anymore. Privacy respect comes from trust. Irrelevance comes from not caring. She's not respecting privacy. She's experiencing irrelevance. You're irrelevant to her day, to her thoughts, to her caring. And irrelevant people don't get questions, don't get checking, don't get invested interest. They get indifference. They get nothing. They get absence of caring. She didn't ask where you were, and where you were doesn't matter because you don't matter. Not to her anymore. Not in way that generates questions. Not in way that creates checking. You matter practically, maybe. You pay bills, you share space. You exist in routine, but you don't matter emotionally. Don't matter in terms of her investment. Don't matter in her psychological space. Practical mattering continues. Emotional mattering ended. Practical asks about bills, about schedule coordination, about logistical necessities. Emotional asks where you are, if you're okay, when you'll be home. She's asking practical. She's not asking emotional. Asked if you paid electricity bill. Didn't ask where you were last night. Asked what time you'll be home, so she knows about dinner. Didn't ask where you're going or who you're with. Practical questions continue. Emotional questions stopped. And relationship is emotional, not practical. Connection is feeling, not logistics. Partnership is caring, not coordination. When emotional questions stop, relationship stops emotionally. When feeling questions end, connection ends in feeling. When caring questions disappear, partnership disappears in caring. Practical continues, emotional ended. Routine continues, relationship ended, cohabitation continues. Connection ended. She didn't ask where you were. That was relationship ending. Connection disappearing, caring stopping. Not announced, not declared, not made official. Just stopped, just ended, just disappeared, quietly, invisibly, without notification. One day she asked, next day she didn't. One moment she cared, next moment she stopped. One time she wanted to know, next time she didn't. And you noticed change, felt difference, sensed shift. But you interpreted as positive, understood as improvement, read as relationship maturing. While reality was negative, was ending, was her departing. She didn't ask where you were. That was the end. Emotional end, caring end, investment end. Physical relationship continues. Emotional relationship ended. External partnership persists. Internal partnership finished. Routine remains. Connection gone. She didn't ask where you were. And not asking told you everything. Told you she's done. Told you you're irrelevant. Told you she doesn't care. But telling through not doing only communicates to those listening for absence. Only signals to those watching for withdrawal. Only indicates to those understanding silence. You weren't listening for absence. You were listening for words. You weren't watching for withdrawal. You were watching for actions. You weren't understanding silence. You were interpreting as positive. So you missed it, so you misread it, so you misunderstood it, until you couldn't miss it anymore, until misreading became impossible, until misunderstanding was corrected by her leaving. Then you understood, then you recognized, then you saw. She didn't ask where you were, because she was already gone. Gone emotionally before leaving physically. Departed internally before departing externally. Finished psychologically before finishing officially. She didn't ask where you were. That was her being gone. And you thought it was trust.